The Doctor Is In is a co-production of Ave Maria Radio and EWTN Radio and carried across the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
I need you to knock some sense into me. I'm sure you can.
Yeah, I don't know.
I enjoy listening to you. I don't always agree with everything.
All right, enough of this persiflage.
So, you want my question?
I'm certainly not going to get myself in trouble by telling you what to do.
That makes great sense. Gosh, that's good.
Did I overwhelm you with words and wisdom?
I've got 7 kids. I feel like I could call you every day.
What? Wait, you're telling me I'm wrong? Disconnect.
Yes, I am, Dr. Ray.
You just need to tune in to Dr. Ray, honey. He's got all the answers.
Am I right or am I right?
Probably.
Now, from the studios of Living Bread Radio Network in Canton, Ohio, the hometown of Mother Angelica, here's Dr. Ray.
Andrew Kruchek, we've been getting some complaints about the IQ slippage in this program. Can you adjust that knob there? Where the IQ knob that you have? Just turn it up a little bit. Just a little bit. Little bit. Thank you. Hey, this is Dr. Ray Guarendi. With a mundane, extemporaneous demeanor, I will endeavor to eschew obfuscation and pellusive. Andrew, it's too high. Way too high. Way too high. Drop it down. Drop it down. There. Okay, that's better. Hello. Now it's too low. Right? Get it? Okay, thank you. This is Dr. Ray Guarendi. I think we got the IQ right where we need it. In my range, about 98. You can have a higher IQ, though. We'll put you in the high IQ lines. This is not E-Person Monday. Every so often, because of scheduling, because of an attempt to have a call-in program on a day that we usually have E-Person or Look Back Friday, today we're taking calls. And normally when we do this, we get a lot of calls, which makes me wonder if certain people are off on Mondays and can call in and otherwise can't. So, the number, if you would like to get onto the program, 877-573-7825. 877-57-equal. That is the number to call to get onto the program. Andrew, you got, is that my topic that's up there? Or no, that was one we did for Vanessa. Oh, that's from the pre-record. Okay, ignore that one. If you have a question about family, friends, kids, parents, estranged young adults, anything about life, obviously, I can't answer all of them, and this is not therapy, not diagnosis, but we can talk a little bit, see what we can come up with, maybe a nugget or two, a thought, something that'll have a cognitive ripple effect in your existence. Those things can happen. So the number, 877-57-equal. My producer man, Andrew Kruchek, there in Ann Arbor, and he produces this in cooperation with the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network, some 500-plus stations worldwide, all over the place. Tierra del Fuego, yeah, we're down there now. We got a new affiliate, Tierra del Fuego. We also have an affiliate in the Marianas Trench, which is so far anyway the deepest spot in the oceans, Pacific Ocean out there. Yeah, so if we get a call from the Marianas, you will know it because they will say 7 miles down. Can you imagine the water pressure per square inch on that? Which reminds me of a question that I asked my science teacher in the 9th grade. If I get a chance, I'll get to it. But I got to do my opening monologue, and then we'll get a chance to talk to you folks already calling in, and I'm delighted. I was going to say absolutely delighted, but not totally absolutely. I mean 92% delighted. My wife and I'll be a little self-revelatory here, have been getting into these little tiffs. And every time we do, she'll bring up the same theme. Ray, would you please get out of the 70s? Now, ladies, one thing about us guys, you know this. All you have to do is tell us to do something one time, and we do it. You don't have to keep reminding us every 6 months. I'm hearing snickers. I am definitely hearing snickers and sniggling. Our anniversary was coming up. I was going to go get her a gift. Not going to take any of my daughters with me. I have 5 boys and 5 estrogen Americans. Not going to bring any of my daughters with me. My daughters know their mother up one side, down the other. My boys took a long time to realize they even had a mother. The average 5-year-old girl walks up to her mother. Excuse me, mother. While I do appreciate the guidance you've given me on these first few years, I feel compelled to tell you, you were wrong on most of it. Why don't you raise Dad? He's got about 5 or 6 more years of middle school to go through. The average 16-year-old boy has this befuddled look on his face. Mom, where's the ice cubes? No, I asked Dad. He don't know where they are either. My daughter Liz, our youngest, since she was about 12, she was able to run the whole family. My sons, in their 20s, still giving their brothers wedgies. These are not the same species here. Okay. So I was not going to bring any of my daughters to help me. I'm going to get this gift by myself to show her. Not in the 70s. So I went out and I bought her one of those mood rings. It's hard to find. You know, I think I'm still hearing the snickering. I am still hearing it. Okay, you can laugh. Those things work. They do. They work. When she's in a good mood, it turns green. When she's in a bad mood, it leaves a red mark on my forehead. Now, some people get angry when you tell jokes like that about marriages. Dr. Ray, don't trivialize marriage. I'm not trivializing it. Come on. You got to have some fun. You got to laugh at all this. Plus, my wife knows. She knows if she lets me go out shopping by myself, who knows what I'm going to come back with. I was pretty proud of myself when we were first married. I went out and I said, honey, I'm buying Christmas gifts by myself. This is true. I'm not making this up. I came back and I bought her what I thought was really cool. It was a fancy wall plate over a light switch on the wall. I thought it was so cool looking. Really was. Decal of the Cleveland Browns, really neat. And then I bought her some, it was placemats, some real nice placemats. There was 3 of them. I bought her 3 of those. You think I'm making this up? I am not making this up. That's how clueless I was. Since then, she has basically said she'll go out and pick up her own gifts. Try not to be offended. Try not to be offended. I have learned from now on when I buy placemats, I buy 4 at least 4. And the wall plates, I take a picture of them before I bring them home. The number to get onto the program here is 877-573-7825. Now, this is live. This is not ePerson Monday. We're taking calls today. Sometimes we do this because the schedule changes. Sometimes we do it because we just want to devote a Monday or a Look Back Friday for folks who would otherwise not be able to call in. They have a Monday off or they have a Friday off or they're homesick or some reason. So we can call in. This is not ePerson. This is U-Person Monday. So we'll get to the calls. Thank you so much for joining me here on The Doctor Is In.
Do you own popular index mutual funds or ETFs? If so, you're automatically own shares of companies that conflict with your moral beliefs. Ave Maria mutual funds are managed to conform to pro-life and pro-family values. Long-term investors can invest in the no-load Ave Maria mutual funds. The experienced professional portfolio managers make decisions based on investment fundamentals and pro-life values. You can learn more about Ave Maria mutual funds today at 866-AVE-MARIA or visit AveMariaFunds.com.
Teaches that Jesus Christ is literally and wholly present, body and blood, soul and divinity, under the appearances of bread and wine. In the Bread of Life discourse documented in John chapter 6, Jesus states that he is the bread of life, and that his flesh is true food and his blood true drink. The Jews were scandalized in verse 52. How can this man give us his flesh to eat? Jesus does not back down, but reiterates this teaching 4 more times over the next 4 verses. Many left in verse 66 because this teaching was truly difficult. But at no point does Jesus water down his teaching and call them back. No, he allows them to leave, and even questions his 12 apostles if they too wish to leave. Jesus intended to be understood literally, and the Jews, apostles, and the Catholic Church absolutely take him at his word. Examining the truths of the Catholic faith, this is faithforensics.org.
Steve and Janet Ray here, announcing we are back in the Holy Land, ready to introduce you to our favorite places in the world, the land where God walked. Mass at the most holy sites, pray the mysteries of the Rosary where they happened, and experience the Bible in vivid color. We have led over 100 groups through this land, sharing the whole story of salvation. Of all the pilgrimages in all of the world, this is the one you should not miss.
Find the Ave Maria Radio travel tab at AveMariaRadio.net.
Somebody asked me once, do I think that women have superior verbal skills? My answer was, duh. Nice to have you with me here on The Doctor Is In. I'm Dr. Ray Guarendi. This is not E-Person Monday. This is You-Person Monday. I just made that up on the spot, which means you can call in. 877-57-EQUAL. We will take your calls every so often because of scheduling reasons or because we want to devote a Monday or a Look Back Friday to open calling. We will do this. And given that we have folks calling in, that tells me that perhaps they cannot call other days, or maybe they just decided to call today, or maybe they don't even know what this program is, but they just decided. I want a quick answer to a caller who is not with us anymore, but he asked, how old am I? Well, I'm not going to give you the exact number, but let me give you a clue. My last birthday cake had 50 candles on it, and that was the piece I had. Enough said. Mike, Cincinnati, Ohio. Hi, Mike.
Hey, doctor. Thanks for taking my call.
You're welcome, sir.
I was waiting for a half as old as Teresa Tomeo there. But,
well, she gets, she would get mad at me, but she forgets. I'll say a joke, I talk about being old, and then she gets mad, and then the next day she forgot. So I just that's it.
Oh, that's so good. No, I appreciate this. And this is my day off, so it's a special day to call you today. There's been something on my heart for a few months, and I've been praying on it, and I thought maybe it's time to get your opinion on this. So,
wait a minute, hold on a second, Michael. You've been wrestling with this for several months, and it took you that long to get my opinion?
I was off today. That's what this was.
I'm not real happy about this, Michael. I'm not real happy. However,
my sister and I. No, I'm sorry. Yeah.
In charity, I'm gonna take your call.
Thank you, sir. We had a great relationship, best friends, my sister, and 10 years ago, she adopted internationally, and in the process, she read all these books, and she wanted to be the best mom imaginable. And the short of the story is it really changed her. The adoption process was ugly and long and corrupt in some ways, but it ended with a wonderful story, and she got her son, my nephew. When she brought him home, though, she had a bunch of rules. We weren't allowed to see him. We weren't allowed to engage with him. We weren't allowed to be in the same room as him, any of that. And it was strange for us because, again, we were really, really close, and the rules kind of came out of nowhere. And we wanted to celebrate this and be really part of his life. And right away, it was very clear that there was some very firm boundaries on her part. And the reason that she would give is it's the research. That was kind of her only answer. Fast forward, 2 years, he grew over time. We were able to start being introduced to his life. And then by the time that he was, 4 years old or so,
you were allowed to talk to him. You were allowed to talk to him.
We were allowed to talk to him. Yeah.
You were allowed to breathe the same air.
That was it. And it was strange, but it was one of those things where we just learned, well, don't question her parenting, don't question her decisions, and just go with it.
Her husband too? Her husband too?
Her husband was on board with her. On the side, he would say, "I don't quite get it," but she says it's what the research says, and that's her thing.
Well, I'm not sure it's what the research says. I think it's what expert opinions say. But that aside, go ahead.
Well, thank you. So anyway, it got repaired, and we had have a great relationship. The nephew is fantastic, awesome. Until, I guess maybe an important side note is during this time, his whole life, she and her husband, they go on one date a year, and that's to some work party that he goes to, and there's one person in the world that's allowed to watch the child, and that's my mother, our mother, Grandma. Whatever reason, this Christmas party this year, this December, my mom couldn't make the trip.
So you were Plan B, and apparently you did something.
Well, and so I said, well, we can watch him. And again, at this point, he's arguably old enough to watch himself, but
how old is he?
I digress.
How old?
He's 13 now.
Oh, okay. I got you.
And so anyway, I said, you
probably can't do a whole lot of psychological damage watching a 13-year-old for 3 hours, but go ahead.
Exactly. So I talked to her husband, and I said, well, because she was going to cancel the trip or cancel the party, and we're not going to go. And so I was meddling a little bit, and I said, there's no need that this comes between you. My mom is out of town, and she doesn't need, she can't make it, but we can. Drop him off at our house. We'll be happy to watch him. My sister caught wind of this. She didn't like it. Long story short, I was back and forth with her husband, just trying to support him and trying to say, this is ridiculous. I don't get it. And she overheard us talking about her. She took great offense, and she kind of put us back into, 10 years ago, 11 years ago, limbo land.
Okay.
Where
so that brings us up to date.
Yep. So here we are. Thanks for that backstory. That for listening. So where we are now in January. So this went on for a month, all through Christmas. Not a word.
I'm going to have to hurry along here, Michael, because you're going to get bumped up against a break. So go ahead.
I got it. So where we are now is I reached out to her in January and said, hey, I'm really confused. I don't understand, why this is such an offense to you. I said, how much do you
questioned her, Michael?
I questioned her, and
How dare you question her?
So she says, no comment. I don't know what I want with us, our relationship, and that's where we are. So now it's 3-4 months later. I love the nephew. I really want to be part of his life. It's weird because I don't think he knows any of this, but they don't play with our kids. He doesn't play with our kids now.
Well, he may not know any of this, but he's aware that all of a sudden his uncle disappeared from his life.
He has to be. Yes.
All right.
So I'm wondering, like, do I reach out again? Do I wait for her to come back?
Couple of points. One, whenever somebody says to me, we were so close, and then they won't talk to me anymore, there's a part of me that says, you weren't as close as you thought. Okay, this person was carrying grudges or ill will or something, resentments or something. Maybe they were emotionally kind of fragile in the way they interpreted what you did, but something did this.
Yeah.
And it's really unusual for people to be so close and then have one event make it so that, well, we haven't talked to each other for 10 years. That just doesn't jive. So that's one.
Mm-hmm.
Two, apparently she saw this as her one chance at parenthood, and she was not going to blow it. And she couldn't take the chance that she was just going to do this herself. She got to look and see what the experts said. And so she looked at all these experts and probably had her head spinning all over the place because the experts don't agree. Mm-hmm. And she realized, I've got to make this work. I've got one chance. I got to make this work. And then you committed the unforgivable sin. Not only did you question her, but you, I don't want to say put her down, but you critiqued her. Mm-hmm. Now, you stepped on the most sensitive nerve she has. That said, here's where you're at. You go to her and you say, I'm so sorry. I spoke out of turn. I gave my opinion where it wasn't asked for. I was wrong, and I'm sorry. And I hope you'll forgive me, and we can have our relationship again. That's it. 4 or 5 sentences. Don't sit there and belabor it. Don't say, well, I didn't realize it. No excuses, nothing. Just flat out. Put it right back in her lap. And then if she says in so many words, thank you, Michael. Well, I'll think about it. And then you don't hear from her again for another 9 months. She's telling you she's not going to forgive you for whatever the reason, and that's sad. That's quite sad, because you didn't do anything that horrible, at least from what you're describing. Now, I just got one other question. This is going to really bug me if it's true. Does your sister proclaim to be a Christian?
She was, and there was kind of a trauma adoption story, and she became very angry.
God didn't help her out when she wanted to become a mother so desperately. Okay.
Yeah,
I got that. So that's telling you something too. I mean, I don't know your sister. I'm not making any speculations, but if she's turning her back on God because this adoption situation kind of sidetracked, which they can do real easy, they can do. Yeah. And her view was, I so desperately wanted to adopt, and this is what God did to me. Huh. I don't want a God like that. Now, if that's her thinking, if she can turn on God, my friend, she can turn on you.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
So I would just simply apologize as best you can, simple, short, sweet, and say, I will wait for you to decide if you want to renew our relationship. Don't say, I want to be part of his life, and it's so important, and he's such a great kid. Just don't, because then it just looks like you're groveling. You're just simply saying, I'm so sorry. I was wrong, out of line. I hope you find it in your heart to forgive me.
And the brother-in-law, again, we're close, and I have maintained a relationship these months throughout, and he just kind of rolls his eyes because he's in the middle of it.
Yeah,
but
he's got to live with her.
Continuing that.
He's got to live with her.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that the kid's doing okay, at least from what you're describing, because more often than not, I see kids get really kind of messed up when their parents' heads are spinning all over the place trying to follow every expert that they come across.
Right.
I have seen that do a lot more damage than good.
Well, God is part of his story for sure. And we'll credit that to him.
Yeah, and it's interesting, too. When my wife and I couldn't conceive, we didn't look at God and go, how dare you? How could you? We said, well, we'll do what we can. We'll see. A couple of our adoptions fell through at the last minute. They just fell through. All right. That's the name of the game.
Yep.
But we're just grateful that we could adopt. I'm wondering if she has some gratitude about being able to adopt.
Right.
All right, my friend. Well, the other thing, too. Yeah, go ahead.
No, just very helpful, and I appreciate you taking my call today and helping me with this difficult situation.
Yeah. God bless, my friend. Good luck to you. All right. We'll get to Michael after the break. 877-573-7825. We're just taking all Michaels today, apparently. This is not St. Michael's feast day, is it? Okay, got that part. 877-57-EQUAL. This is not E-Person Monday. This is You-Person Monday. It's Michael Monday. Yeah, that's very good. I had a friend named Mike Monday. Used to play ball with him. Mike Monday. This is Dr. Ray. By the way, I want to thank all the folks in Sioux City, Iowa. Had a men's conference there. And by the way, Bishop Keener, who was the pastor at St. Paul's here in North Canton, I got a chance to connect up with him there because he is now bishop at Sioux City Diocese. So that's really, really kind of cool. And that'll make me a local hero because people loved Pastor Keener. And now that he's bishop there, they get the benefit of Bishop Keener. And I got to have lunch with him. That's right. And by the way, I didn't know this. Sioux City is like second in the world for pork chops, making pork chops, and first in the world for ice cream. Oh yeah, I stayed there for 2 days just eating pork chops and ice cream. But I want to thank all the folks involved. Dolores, if you're listening, the Sioux City Men's Conference, Sioux City Diocese. Thank you. Your calls when we get back. I'm Dr. Ray. Thank you.
Father Benedict Rochelle.
There are legitimate differences of opinion in any religion. There are differences of opinion in Catholicism. But in Catholicism, you expect that people will take the teaching of its supreme authority seriously. To go diametrically opposed to those teachings is to not be a Catholic. Someone in the name of Catholicism is sponsoring the destruction of human life, lives of unborn children. And he got the name Catholic on the door. The highest authority in Catholicism and the encyclical Humanae Vitae, Evangelium Vitae, is absolutely clear that no Catholic can support abortion and that Catholics are responsible to take serious action against legalized abortion.
The people you know and trust are on EWTN.
How would you define the word beatitude? Webster's dictionary defines beatitude as a state of utmost bliss and a declaration made in the Sermon on the Mount. The Catechism of the Catholic Church states that the Beatitudes are in effect a portrait of the man who declared them, Jesus Christ, depicting his countenance and portraying his charity. The Beatitudes also describe the attitudes and actions that should portray and depict his followers, true Christians. The Beatitudes are paradoxical in their promises. None seems more paradoxical than number 8, which proclaims, "Blessed are you when men revile you and persecute you and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven." The paradox is that God is present even amidst trials and tribulations. This is Peggy Stanton, and this has been the Order of Malta's Minute with the Catechism.
Sometimes people will ask me, Ray, did you ever read a book that made you cry? Yes. Yes, I did. It was organic chemistry. When I was a sophomore in college. Yeah, that made me cry. All right. This is not E-Person Monday. This is You-Person Monday. So we're taking calls. And so far, the calls have been from a gentleman named Michael. But you don't have to be Michael to call. I just want to emphasize that. If you're Mickey, that's okay. Mike, okay. You can call. But even if you're not named Michael, Michelle, you can call. Michelle, that's okay. Anybody, you can call in. Michael from Portland has an interesting question. Hi, Mike.
Hello. Michael number 2 talking to you, Dr.
Yes,
Ray.
sir. Thank you. What's up?
I'm a dyed-in-the-wool Catholic, and I have a real problem. All of this problems going on with Cesar Ernesto Chavez, and I have not heard one word called forgiveness from any Catholic clergy in the whole United States. Not even in Portland, I haven't heard it, but I haven't heard it anywhere. And
have you heard any Catholics of profile even talking about it?
No, I have not. Maybe I missed it. I don't know, but maybe you've heard it. I haven't.
Well, then, if they haven't talked about the whole scenario, then how could they talk about forgiving him?
Good point. And maybe they're afraid to talk about it. That could be a thing. I am a recovering sex addict. So I have a lot of affinity for Mr. Chavez. Though I never did the things he's been accused of doing, I still feel a connection with the man. But I think people are afraid to talk about it, and if they don't talk about it, then they don't forgive. That is a very good point.
Okay, but let me take it a step further here, Michael. Take a step further. Is it our place to forgive, say, someone like Cesar Chavez, who apparently there's legitimate information that says he did some things that were quite sexually inappropriate? Okay, is it our place to forgive him because we were not offended by him? He didn't do this to us.
Okay. The gospel reading today.
We are to pray for his well-being. We are to pray for his well-being, and to leave him to the judgment and mercy of God. but it's not my place to say I forgive Cesar Chavez or anybody else in similar situations because they didn't do it to me. So only God forgives those situations.
I'm not there with you on that. But
well, that's kind of church teaching, Michael. That's church teaching. I mean, you can
talking over my response to you about your question.
Okay, go ahead.
And your question was, are we supposed to forgive Cesar Chavez? That was was your question. Is that correct?
I would say this. We are to not judge his soul. It is not our place to say, I forgive him because he didn't do anything to us.
I'm with you on that one, but people are judging him. No, there's a lot of people out there, but I'm with you on that one.
Well, a Catholic who wants to be faithful to church teaching would not judge his soul. Those who do are not, they're going against Catholic teaching. So what else? What can I say about that? I mean, you can't say, oh, these people are terrible because they're going against what the church would teach. Right. I don't have an obligation to forgive Cesar Chavez. He didn't do anything to me. I have an obligation to hope and pray that whatever it was he converted or God's mercy and justice is served, but that's it.
Yeah, I hear you on that one. That's a good way to look at it.
Let's say that you punched your kid in the head, and you hurt him and you put him in a hospital. And somebody says to me, Ray, you got to forgive Michael. I said, what? You have to forgive Michael? No, I don't. I don't make a judgment on Michael. What he did was wrong, but I can't judge his soul and his penitence and all of that. I can say, I pray for him. I can say I wish him well, but I can't forgive him because he didn't punch me in the head.
But I look at Catholic clergy as trying to set a standard for me to live up to.
Michael, I'm going to say something. Maybe, now this is me being a little shrinky on you. I've noticed that people have a very strong opinion about something when they themselves have struggled with that issue in their own lives.
I'm with you on that one, Dr. Ray.
But, by your own admission.
Yeah.
So I can see your sensitivity on that. I got that. Now, I'm not going to forgive you for it because you didn't do anything wrong to me.
Okay.
Michael, thank you for the call, my friend. You provoked a lot of good thinking. I appreciate that, sir. 877-573-7825. Got some lines open now. So, interesting, too. Michael brings up the point. Are our clerics supposed to talk about those kinds of current events? Only insofar as they might have a scriptural moral teaching to them, I would say, perhaps. But at the same time, like, for example, what I talked about with Michael, about, it's not my place to forgive Cesar Chavez or Bill Cosby or anybody else that's been accused, or O.J. Simpson. It's not my place to forgive them. They didn't do it to me. So that's God's place to forgive. Not my place to judge either. Behavior's wrong, but I don't know the state of their soul. I can't do that. You know what? I don't even know the state of my own soul. Oh, Dr. Ray, come on. Yeah, you know what? The only reason I'm saying that is because there's one other person I'm comparing myself to on that issue. He's got pretty good credibility. St. Paul. He said, I do not pronounce judgment. As far as I'm aware, I'm not aware of anything against me, but I do not pronounce judgment before the day. And the day he's speaking of is his day of judgment. So what he was saying was, as far as I'm aware, I'm okay. I'm in God's grace. But I can't categorically pronounce that. I can't say I'm saved. Which is interesting because once saved, always saved does really go against Scripture. Not only is it illogical, but it goes against all kinds of Scripture. One more verse. There's a whole bunch of them. Let me give you another one. In Acts, they talk about replacing Judas. And they say it is incumbent upon us to replace Judas, who from his apostleship fell. Ooh, wait a minute. Was he an apostle? Well, you would think an apostle would kind of be close to God, but apparently he fell from it. But at one time he was. So was he a fake apostle? See, you got all kinds of logic problems if you try to take those scripture verses and say, yeah, therefore I can absolutely categorically declare for God that I am saved. No. I have confidence and security in God's mercy and love that I persevere to the end. Like St. Paul says, persevere to the end, run the race. That's scripture. It's Dr. Ray.
He is honored by the Church as a saint with the title of the Angelic Doctor.
Matthew Bunson and the Doctors of the Church.
St. Thomas Aquinas wrote a basic textbook for young theology students that became the Church's most famous guide to the faith, the Summa Theologica. It helped him earn the title Doctor of the Church. He died in 1274.
For more about the Doctors of the Church, visit doctorsofthechurch.com.
Christ is the answer with Father John Riccardo.
Are you passionate about Jesus? Are you zealous for Jesus? Are you fervent for Jesus? Are we fervent for the gospel? Are we passionate about helping this world come to know him? Is that true? It's not true for most people in the church. Is Jesus my best friend? Is he your best friend? I'm looking around the church. There's a set of guys in here who have great man caves. As I was praying this morning, I felt like the Lord said, hey, when are you going to come to my man cave? Like, you guys think a flat screen TV is really cool. Well, you should see what I got to offer. Because I and I alone, he says, can really give you what it is you're longing for. Whoever it is we're rooting for right now, they're going to lose eventually. Or whatever it is that's occupying our time, one day we're going to realize it really wasn't that important. Why aren't we hanging out with the one who alone can show us what life is really all about? When was the last time you hung out in the Lord's man cave?
Strained or broken relationships are a given in most of our lives. Friends fall away, siblings drift apart, children sever ties with their parents, and despite our best efforts, these painful fissures are difficult to mend. Hi, I'm Dr. Ray. If you want to learn how to communicate better with the difficult people in your life and be a more easygoing, more forgiving person, check out my book, How to Get Along with Almost Everybody. Check it out. And all my other books on the store page at AveMariaRadio.net. That's AveMariaRadio.net. By the way, an interesting thing, all guys today, not one single woman called me. This is so reminiscent of my junior and senior year in college. Not one single woman called me. The guys called me for pickup basketball, softball, weightlifting. Not a single woman. Stephen is calling from Houston, Texas. He brings up a really good point, which I address in one of my upcoming books. Hi, Stephen.
Good afternoon. How often does one get to call Canton, Ohio, really?
Wait. Come on, we're the home of the Pro Football Hall of Fame and Mother Angelica. Come on.
That is exactly right. Both great things.
Okay, you bring up a good point.
Yeah, you just told a gentleman, and he had his sister has legitimate issues, but you asked him to apologize to her.
Yep.
But he has nothing for which to apologize.
Wait a minute, Stephen. Did you listen? Stephen, did you listen? He said, I put her down. He said that. He said, I criticized her. And she heard him.
Okay. I missed that. Well, yeah, he did that, but he was not actually putting her down. He had a conversation with her brother.
And they were saying she was basically out. She was basically kind of being goofy about this. That's what they were saying.
Yeah. And here's my point. I apologize for nothing. I am either giving you an apology you don't deserve, or I'm validating your delusional thinking.
All right, fair enough. Let me answer that.
Okay.
First of all, okay, you call it delusional thinking. That's a pretty strong word. Let's call it perception. Now, apparently, let's use Michael's example. The sister felt that he dissed her. Okay, now you could say, yeah, she overreacted, for heaven's sakes. Come on. Now, that may be. You ask 100 people, 82 of them may say, yeah, she overreacted. However, in her mind, he was disrespectful. Okay, that's said. So what he was apologizing for was the fact that he acknowledged that she took offense. And he said, I'm sorry. Basically, I'm sorry for what I did that you took offense by. That's what he's saying. But let's take it a step further. Let's say, in fact, he didn't do anything wrong at all. Nothing. There was no way, no conversation, zippo. Now, if he says to me, I want to have a relationship with my sister, that's the most important thing. I say, well, then you're going to have to apologize even though you don't know what to apologize for. Let me give you an example. Sometimes parents will say, my adult child has written me off. I have no idea why. They just written me off. And I'll advise them. I'll say, well, how important is that relation? Oh, it's very important. I said, okay. Then you got to do damage control. You go back and you say, I am so sorry if in any way I stepped on your toes or was critical or in any way hurt you feelings. I'm sorry. Now, you're not naming any specifics. You're just simply saying, I want this relationship, and therefore I'm going to apologize for whatever it is that you think I did. And you can know full well, you figure in your mind you didn't do anything wrong. I understand that. But what you're doing is that your main motive is to say, I just want to get the relationship back on track. Now, does that offer a reason to do that?
No, it sounds to me like you're asking somebody to go into a toxic relationship.
Well, it depends on how long this has been a habit. If it's if it's something where you say,
we've got a woman here who has a 13-year-old son being babysat. There is a cosmic disconnect, right? So we've got bad behavior acknowledged by the husband, acknowledged by the brother, and evinced by the fact she's got a 13-year-old being babysat. I don't want to encourage that behavior. And if I have to apologize to remain in that toxic relationship...
Now, be careful. Be careful now. Hey, come on, Stephen. You don't know it's toxic. That's a strong word.
Okay.
But let me address your 13-year-old kid still needing somebody to watch him. If she says, as mother, I want somebody to watch him, and you and I and 57 out of 60 people say, wow, kid should be able to watch himself, you know? That's kind of irrelevant because it's her kid. She can make that decision. And the other thing is this. She may say, in her mind, I don't trust him. I leave him home alone. He's going to get on the computer. He knows how to get past the password. I don't trust him. That could be a factor. See, all these things could be factors. So for me just to look at this and carte blanche say, hey, wait a minute, lady, come on. Why in the heck does a 13-year-old need a babysitter? What's wrong with you as a mother? That's really stretching my judgment because I don't know.
Right. You know, I could be making assumptions. I don't know. I'm simply never going to apologize when I have no reason to.
I understand that, and that makes sense, except if there is a further motive, and the motive is to repair a relationship that the other person thinks you do have a reason to apologize for. That's the difference. And I'm going to tell you this, Steve, and I'm going to let you go after this. I'm a psychologist, and obviously. I know how capable we all are of saying, I didn't do anything wrong, when in fact we did. That is a real quicksand quagmire of conduct. Because most people give themselves major benefit of the doubt. It's part of the fallen human condition.
Yeah, I'm much easier on myself, is what you're saying.
We all are, my friend. We all are. I was wrong. I'll admit it. I was wrong in, it was 1992, I think it was. Yeah, 1992. Last time I remember, I think. Stephen, thank you for the call. This is Dr. Ray. I'll be back.
This program is brought to you by the following nonprofit underwriter.
Are you longing to hear God's voice? Lord, Teach Me to Pray, the free Ignatian prayer series will open your heart to His voice, to the peace you are seeking, and the only love that fulfills the human heart, Jesus. God is calling you to true joy, knowing Jesus personally. Lord, Teach Me to Pray is free. Go to LordTeachMeToPray.com, click on the red box, order the Lord Teach Me to Pray series now. Go to LordTeachMeToPray.com.
The Heart of the Interior Life with Elizabeth Jangle.
Why do we experience spiritual desolation? In the 9th rule of St. Ignatius of Loyola's 14 Rules for the Discernment of Spirits, St. Ignatius offers 3 principal causes for why we experience the difficulty of spiritual desolation. He writes, the first is because we are tepid, slothful, or negligent in our spiritual exercises, and so through our faults, spiritual consolation withdraws from us. The second, to try us and see how much we are and how much we extend ourselves in His service and praise, without so much payment of consolations and increased graces. The third, to give us true recognition and understanding, so that we may interiorly feel that it is not ours to attain or maintain increased devotion, intense love, tears, or any other spiritual consolation. St. Ignatius teaches there is an answer to the question of why spiritual desolation.
For more information, visit AveMariaRadio.net.
The following program is brought to you in part by MyCatholicWill.com. Surveys show that more than half of Americans do not have a will. At MyCatholicWill.com, it takes as little as 15 minutes to write your will and secure a legacy of faith. MyCatholicWill.com is the exclusive online destination for creating a Catholic will. The process of writing a will is simple and now more accessible than ever. MyCatholicWill.com, a legacy of faith for those you love.
Oh boy, so many good questions up there and I can't get to all of you. I just say this, please. Call back. You will be first up. You waited patiently. You'll be first up on any program all the way out to Armageddon. So what if I can't spell Armageddon? It's not the end of the world. All right, let's go to Cheyenne from South Carolina. By the way, Cheyenne's capital of Wyoming, isn't it? She has a question that really is now in the realm of 24/7 news feeds, 24/7 constant available through the internet, and the fact that the news is always, not always, 92.64% of the time, extremely negative and frightening. How do you keep aware and yet still maintain some contentment? Is that it, Cheyenne?
Yeah, that's it.
Several things. Probably have to cut back. It is easy to get pulled into this. And you know as well as I do that the vast majority of what you read, you can't do one single spit about. You can't do a thing about it. Nothing. Iran, TSA, nothing. You can't do a thing about it. So that's the first thing. You recognize that this is all beyond you, and to try to take it all in, all it does is by and large distress you because it just looks like it's all gone to hell in a handbasket. That's one.
Okay.
2, are you a Christian?
Yes.
Okay, then your peace comes from our Lord internally, and the state of the world is not to distress your peace. It may make you aware of a lot of sadness and tragedy out there and a lot of wrongdoing, that's for certain. But here's the other thing about this. For most of human history, Cheyenne, you would not have known anything bad except what was in your immediate little village or your immediate little tribe or clan or family. That's it. You wouldn't know anything about anywhere else. Now you know everything about what's going on in the world everywhere. That's not good for the head. Do I look at this stuff? Yeah, I have to, because I got to have some sense of what's going on out there because I do this program. But I always tell myself, Ray, if this stuff starts to disturb your peace, you're going to cut back on it. That's it. I am not going to allow myself to be upset, agitated, miserable. Woe is me. This is horrible. This is awful. Everybody's gone to hell. No, I'm not doing that. I'll just tell our Lord, you gotta sustain me on this one, dear Jesus, because otherwise this stuff can pull me in. And the other thing, Cheyenne, you got to watch out is this. News media makes a living out of giving you bad stuff. That's how they do it.
Right.
They know there's... Right. Let me explain this to you psychologically speaking. We have within us, that God put in us, a defense mechanism that if we are threatened, we become hyper vigilant. Our bodies react. Any kind of threat to our well-being. The problem with that is that reaction that's in us, we can allow it to pay attention to threats that are not physical. Threats of war across the other side of the world. Threats of a murder rate going up in a big city. Now, those are not immediate threats to us. However, because we're wired to be vigilant to threats, we pay more attention to that stuff. It's called negativity bias. Psychologists have a name for it. And it means we attend to negative stuff more than we do positive stuff. I just saw a plane crash in, I think it was New York, LaGuardia Airport just yesterday. I was reading on it.
Right.
Well, I fly all the time. I fly all the time. Now, I look at something like that, and I have to keep telling myself, the odds of me in a plane crash are 1 in millions. That's the way it is. But if I looked at... Go ahead, dear. Go ahead.
Sometimes I feel like, I have friends who just stick their heads in their sand, and it feels a little irresponsible. So, on the other hand, it kind of feels really genius. But it does feel irresponsible not to know, especially like as a parent, right? Sort of what's happening.
Yes.
And you do feel like, I think you have a false sense of like, you do feel like you could do something, and I think a lot of that, especially, is a false sense of your ability to affect that.
As a mom, Cheyenne, if you know what's going on out there and that would directly impact your children's well-being, it's good to know. To know the stuff about media, about computers, about video games, about all the stuff that's out in our culture, the music, everything. The danger. Of course, you do need to know that because you can do something about that in your own life. You can make judgments. The other stuff is way beyond your ability to influence in any way other than to cast a vote.
Right.
So,
and then at that point, you have to, I guess, do your research in the moment at that point that there's a vote.
Yes, that's exactly right. You have to know, for example, if you're going to vote for some politician and you're a faith-filled Catholic and you know that politician just applauds abortion all the way up to the baby being born, that you got to know that. So there are certain things that you can transpose into your own life and do something about. But if you just take a steady diet of the streaming news, the vast majority of it is horrible tragedies, ugly, scary stuff that I can't do a whit about.
So do you have like a personal routine where, it's a couple times a week? Or, is there something where it just becomes more of, methodical, staying in the know, but then, do you know what I'm saying?
I'll look every day on news feeds. I will look. And much of it I skip. Only to the degree that I find it relevant to me or something I need to know. For example, say the new Social Security rules. Okay, that's something relevant to me. I'm going to check that out. But in regarding a whole lot of other stuff, worldly events, whether the prime minister in Britain is very far left and doesn't like us anymore, well, okay, I can't go, oh, isn't that awful? I hope Britain turns around. So you're right. I kind of screen what I'm going to pay a whole lot of attention to, and my consideration is, can I use it for my own life, or is it something that settles me? Great question, Cheyenne. Thank you for letting me ramble. I got to run. Now walk with God. You stay walking with that God, and you don't get distressed about a whole lot of stuff. You don't.
For information on Dr. Ray's presentations, books, and CDs, visit drray.com and follow him on Facebook and Instagram. The Doctor Is In is a co-production of Ave Maria Radio and EWTN Radio and carried across the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.